This is a video for some guy on RX7 Club. Now, your car's stock engine bay isn't going to look exactly like this, but this ground wire is important, the one that goes from the firewall to the intake manifold, and it's hard to get a good view of it, but this ground wire is also important. It goes from the intake manifold to the engine harness, and it may not be mounted here on every car. It may go to one of these two bolts, but they end up going to, you know, very similar pieces of metal, so it'll kind of work either way. But this one, if this is disconnected, this grounds a lot of things. Man, sorry, that's blurry. This one grounds a lot of things. You do not want it disconnected, or you do not want it loose. Those are both important. Another thing I would look for on a car that's misfiring or not idling right is going to be the spark plug wires, and I'm going to try and be lazy and keep mine on the car without removing this intake pipe. But to see what's actually going on there, you want to remove this intake pipe, and then with the pipe removed, you want to make sure, oh, this actually gets a pretty good view of it. You've got this one in the center on a US car. There's two wires coming out of the same ignition coil, and those two wires go to the lowest spark plug holes in the engine. Let's see if we can see them. So there's two spark plug holes on each rotor. This one up here is the top. Top is trailing. Trailing goes to the single trailing spark plug coil, ignition coil. These ones here that have two posts on the same ignition coil, those are the leading spark plug wires, and they go to the lowest hole that's down below. Sorry, I can't see it very well here, but it's the lowest set of spark plug wires, the one that's down there. So the top one is trailing, the lower one is leading. If those two are reversed, you're going to have big problems, and you could even damage an engine. So don't run it with the trailing wire, which comes from the single one. Don't let the trailing one go to the lower hole. That would be a big problem. You also don't want to let the rear trailing coil be doing the spark for the front trailing spark plug hole up in the front there. That would be a big problem as well. Those can't be mixed up. They have this wire here, which goes to the rear trailing. If that wire was connected to the front trailing, that would also cause problems. So as a troubleshooting tip, you could just disconnect both of the trailing, either the plugs at the coil, or you could disconnect the spark plug wires for the trailing. And in case those are flipped around and mixed up or backwards or whatever, running without trailing plugs, the car should still idle okay. It won't idle great, but it should not, you know, jump around and misfire and cause big problems. To have those two disconnected, it should still kind of run. Yeah, hope that helps. The other thing that I would maybe look at, and this is again really hard to see, and my car is going to look a little different than a completely stock one, is the this is your thermostat housing. On the back of it are a few sensors. I do not remember if this one is the coolant sensor or one of the fan thermo switches, but one of the plugs on this thermostat housing is the coolant sensor, and there's another plug that's similar, which is back, you know, under the intake manifold, and it goes to a fuel temperature sensor. If that fuel temperature sensor plug gets plugged to the coolant sensor, and vice versa, the coolant wire goes to the fuel sensor, it's going to read the wrong numbers, and the computer is going to think the engine's colder or hotter than it is, and it's not going to use the right fuel, and it's going to run badly too. So those are a couple things I would check. Man, you could get even, if you get even less lucky, if the fuel injector wires are wrong, like if the front fuel injector wire is plugged to the rear fuel injector, or vice versa, right? The rear fuel injector wire is plugged to the front. That could make an engine run really bad too. But yeah, better you than me, guy. Hope you get your car running good. I almost forgot to try and show it, but one more thing that could cause an RX7 to run badly is the map sensor. So on the car, it's called sensor boost, and it has a plug, which that doesn't run through the main engine harness, so it's unlikely that plug will get unplugged. But it also has the vacuum line, which goes to the throttle body, and that one, that one is hard to remember. A lot of times, if you try to do this by feel, let's see if we can even see it. It's this here, and I'm just kind of guessing if the camera can even see this or not. But this one here goes to a vacuum line, and it's really hard to get that vacuum line on while the throttle is already on the car. The easiest way to do it is take the throttle off the car, connect the vacuum line. You probably can't see anything. The easiest way to do it is remove the throttle body from the car, then connect the vacuum line. Does it go to the throttle or the intake manifold? I'm wrong, it goes to the intake manifold. So you want to remove the intake manifold from the car so that you can actually access that port and plug it in. So take the whole thing all the way off the car, plug in this part of the vacuum line, and then after that you connect it over to the sensor. Because trying to have this hose plug onto there is really difficult. Maybe you can do it if you have just the right, like a mirror to see and just the right set of needle nose pliers with maybe a 90-degree on them and stuff. But the best way that's worked for me is to take the whole intake manifold off of the car, make sure this is on correctly, and then put it back onto the car with the hose already attached, and then after that attach the hose to the sensor. That's also not super easy, but that'll be a lot easier than trying to swap out fuel injector stuff. Fuel injector stuff is much deeper than map sensor. So again, good luck. It's not fun troubleshooting a car that doesn't run right.